What is up, everybody? Welcome to another zombie video. If you're returning, welcome back. It's been a little while. Nice to see you. However, if you're new around here, I appreciate you stopping by. Today, I'd like to cover a topic that most seasoned players are familiar with, but surprising to me, I found that very few players understand. Commonly referred to as the drop cycle. Now, players familiar with the drop cycle are able to use it to predict what their future drops will be with some scary accuracy. Think about that. You knowing the next drop before it happens. I get a fresh reminder every time I go into public games that the average zombie player doesn't know much about how the game works. Which is fine. Look, I'm not trying to hate on all of you who have better things to do in your life than spend 8 hours a day walking around in circles on a video game and memorizing spawn locations, round times, looking for horde, counting points until next drop. Counting zombies left on the ground, calculating reset times, avoiding errors, speedrunning to round 8, first rooming and no powering. Whew. Anyways, the drop cycle is just something fun and interesting that you can try to look for in your zombies games. And maybe it'll just help you out a time or two. First, I'd like to debunk a common misconception, that there are a fixed amount of each drop in every game. Let's say 30 insta-kill drops. And that you can save some of the drops for later in the game simply by not picking up the drops early. Now this couldn't be any further from the truth, as you'll see here shortly. On most maps that you're familiar with, there are 7 total drops. Insta-kill, double points, nuke, max ammo, fire sale, carpenter, and death machine. I'll number each of them 1 to 7 to keep with an analogy that I'm going to make here. The best way to view the drops is like pulling numbers from a hat one at a time. Each number matches a received drop, and once you've emptied the hat of all 7 numbers on most maps, or receiving all 7 drops on most maps, you put the numbers back into the hat, and then you start pulling them again. So every time we get a drop, we take its matching number out of the hat, continuing this for every single drop we get, until eventually the hat is emptied, and we've gotten one of every drop. Once this has happened, the drop cycle resets, and we refill our hat. Now I'll play through this next clip, which shows a complete drop cycle. I'll mark off each drop as it's received. Now I can bet that that didn't convince some of you. How do you know I didn't just cherry pick all those drops? Well, you don't really, but you're probably an aspiring zombie slayer, so give it a try yourself. So there are a few other things to remember. Drops from the boss rounds, albeit hellhounds, monkeys, etc. They don't count towards your drop cycle, but they're guaranteed every time. Also, in Black Ops 3, drops from using gobblegums do not affect the cycle as well. So what about my earlier claims about predicting drops? Well, you see, the manner Treyarch decided to implement drops makes for some pretty cool properties. Number 1. Remember back if you can to Nocturne and Totem. There are only 4 drops, not the 7 most of you are familiar with. There was only the max ammo, the nuke, double points, and insta-kill. Because you're only able to get 4 drops per round, this means that if you get all 4 drops in every round, you'll get 1 of every drop every round, because the start of the cycle will line up with the beginning of every round. There are even ways to force this to occur on the newer maps, which have more than the 4 original drops. Leave a comment if you'd like more on this in another video. Number 2. The player always receives the same number of every drop. Think about back to our hat example earlier. It's impossible to pull one number more than another in our hat simulation. No matter how many times you repeat the process, you'll always end up with a uniform amount of each number. Number 3. Players can never receive more than 2 of the same drop in one round. Again, since there are only 4 drops per round possible, and there's a range of 4 to 7 drops on every map, depending on the map, you can see there's no way to arrange a valid cycle that gives 3 of one drop in the same round. Number 4. And finally, by remembering drops you've received, you can know what drops you're going to get. If we've received 4 drops from our cycle, then we can be certain that the remaining 3 drops in our cycle will be the next 3 drops that we get. We just don't know the order that they're going to be in. So that's going to do it for this video. I hope you've learned something new and can put this to use in your zombie slaying endeavors. Share this video with others who you feel would make use of it, or to all those naysayers who try to save their max ammos for later rounds. If you have any questions, maybe I didn't do as good of a job as explaining as I thought, leave a comment down below, and until next time, have a great day.